Hi, I'm Susan Barlow, and welcome to the April 2019 Bourne Review. First, some headline news and announcements. On April 11th, Stop & Shop workers went on strike. Stop & Shop is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Dutch supermarket giant Ahold Delhaize. Bourne, which has been called a food desert by some, has been particularly inconvenienced as we have few alternatives. The town of Bourne doesn't have its own Stop & Shop grocery store, but many residents shop at the Wareham or Falmouth stores. Stop & Shop purchased the former Grand Union grocery store on Clay Pond Road off MacArthur Boulevard, but it has remained empty. According to a 2015 Cape Cod Times article, Stop & Shop has a history of using real estate purchases as a strategy to prevent competition. Stop & Shop also buys real estate using shell companies and then will either hold the property vacant to prevent competition or resell the property with deed restrictions which would prevent a grocery store from opening. In 2013, Stop & Shop Supermarket Company, under the name Rotary Development, LLC, purchased one of the largest undeveloped pieces of land left in Bourne, the 152-acre parcel known as Canalside Commons off the Bourne Rotary. The parcel has permits for 300 residential units and 85,000 square feet of retail space. The parcel was purchased for $10 million just prior to foreclosure auction. No development is currently planned for that site. Stop & Shop has also been criticized for replacing workers, such as cashiers and baggers, with robotic scanners. After 11 days on strike, Stop & Shop employees went back to work and the stores reopened on Monday, April 22nd. Peter Meyer announces fixes are underway at the Buzzards Bay Playground and Splash Pad.
Just to release a statement on Buzzards Bay Park. Work began Monday to restore the Buzzards Bay Playground to make it accessible for children with disabilities as required by federal and state law. After months of negotiation, the town, Weston and Sampson, and contractor Green Acres executed documents last Friday to work together cooperatively to remedy problems at the playground. The goal is to have the playground open on Memorial Day of this year, weather permitting, after the playground is inspected and certified as safe by a playground safety expert. So that is a statement on the park.
The town will employ a playground monitor to control the number of people allowed into the playground at a time at this very popular spot. The playground and splash pad and newly renovated park is considered an essential element in the redevelopment of Bourne's downtown area. Work continues on the Bourne Bridge. For the past couple of weeks, the one sidewalk over the bridge has been closed due to repairs, making it difficult for those who wish to cross the bridge by foot or by bicycle. Construction is expected to be completed by Memorial Day. Well, it's official. The Jonathan Bourne Public Library wins the Pajama Drive contest again. Our library collected 3,320 pairs of pajamas. The Bourne Library found itself in a heated contest with the Norwood Library, who even advertised a hashtag Beat Bourne in its quest to topple Bourne from the #1 spot, which we've held for several years. Norwood collected 2,538 pairs. There will be a lot of kids benefiting from this friendly rivalry. On Sunday, April 7th, the Center for Coastal Studies Right Whale Aerial Survey Team spotted their first right whale calf of the year in Cape Cod Bay. This sighting heralds the arrival of the 2019 calves to their feeding grounds here in the Northeast. Boaters, kayakers, paddleboarders, swimmers, light aircraft, and drone pilots are reminded that it is illegal to approach a North Atlantic right within 500 yards. In celebration of Earth Day, the Army Corps of Engineers and AmeriCorps held a canal cleanup event on Saturday, April 20th. Lots of folks turned out to help in spite of some very windy weather down at the canal. In this episode, we'll take a look at the new Bourne Intermediate School. Learn about continued parking issues concerning Main Street redevelopment, And we'll check out a talk at the Bourne Historical Society by Sandy Macfarlane and her latest book, Swirling Currents. And we'll take a moment to enjoy some of the beauty that surrounds us through photographs from area photographers. We'll also take a look at the calendar to see what events are coming up in May and early June. Bourne TV's Director of Operations, Jennifer McGrail, and Creative Director, Elaine Orfanos, toured the new Bourne Intermediate School in the newest edition of BTV Up Close.
And welcome to another BTV Up Close. I am your host, Jennifer McGrail, and we're back today at one of our favorite projects, the Bourne Intermediate School. Again, I'm outside the FMMA Project Management Trailer. I'm about to head in and talk to Joel Seeley about what's been going on over at the new school and bring it home to you. So let's go take a look.
Substantial completion or completion of the building is scheduled for May 20th. We believe we're going to be in advance of that by some number of weeks, which is good shape. We're
That's
in good
great.
shape. But we really want to make sure our architects and engineers are punching the building out or inspecting the building, providing punch lists, that we're providing the O&M manuals and the training appropriate to the school district as we're going through this phase of the project, which is really not the construction bricks and mortar part, but it's all that planning for project closeout and making sure everybody's trained and
So when you talk
operate
about
the building.
training and manuals, you're talking about like furnace maintenance and things
Exactly,
like that.
on
Okay.
how to run all of the sophisticated mechanical
Technology
equipment and electrical
okay.
equipment on the project.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you again, Tony.
Same here.
How's things?
Welcome to the Bourne Intermediate School.
Oh, I'm so excited. It looks so much different than the last time we were here. I see walls, I can smell paint, I see a lot of lights.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you do the big reveal, though.
No,
So what do we got?
Almost there. We're near completion. We're just doing some final finishes and touches here and there. But I think us walking through the space, you'll get a better idea of where we are.
That's awesome. The eye studio?
The ice studio. So as you can see, the finishes are completely different in here.
Yes, they are, but that makes sense because what we know of an eye studio over at the Bourne High School is we have sometimes wood cutting, sometimes there's 3D printers going on. It looks like you got plenty of storage cabinets for
Yes.
supplies, big open space. This is great.
So I think that when you come back to the open house, you'll see all of those pieces in place. So it'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I was just noticing these glass doors here, and this is interesting. Is this part of the eye studio?
No, so from the ice studio, you can go into the art room.
Oh.
And the door in the distance to the right, that's where they actually have the kiln in there.
Oh,
So,
wow. Well, this
Yeah.
is a great space. And it's nice because the eye studio really integrates well with all the other curriculum, especially art. So
Right.
they'll be able to partner up, I would imagine, on things, which is nice.
and they can go out into the courtyard and do any work out there,
That's
depending
great.
on the weather. So, yeah, it's good. There you go.
Fantastic.
So the space is basically complete. The only thing that's not in here is our projectors, which they'll be installing next month, and we'll have some loose furniture that will be taking a lot of the school library books, or classroom libraries to be exact.
Okay.
But the room is complete.
That's great. It's very open and airy, and I think it'll be a nice space for the kids and for the teachers, and lots of learning. It's going to happen.
This show can be seen in its entirety on Bourne TV Channel 13. Parking on Main Street continues to be a topic of discussion during April Selectmen's meetings. The Marine Life Center was criticized for leasing parking spaces to the Mass Maritime Academy that otherwise would serve as additional public parking for Main Street. Kathy Zagesby spoke during the April 23rd Selectmen's meeting to talk about the mission and activities of the NMLC, the National Marine Life Center. 3 seals were treated and released by the National Marine Life Center down at Scusset Beach on April 24th.
Everyone, hello and welcome to the National Marine Life Center seal release. We're excited that you're all here to celebrate with us this Earth Day, Earth Month, and the release of rehabilitated seals back out into the wild. So Jones in the middle is a harbor seal. He's about almost a year old at this point. He's stranded twice. He originally stranded last April, and he was a premature pup. And he was separated from his mom in part because of human activity. So if you ever see a pup on the beach, make sure that you give it space because mom will come back. Jones was treated and released. He was released with a satellite tag because, among other things, he had a number of illnesses and infections, and we wanted to be able to track him. He restranded in January up in Maine, was rescued by the Marine Mammals of Maine, and he had a resurgence of his ear infection, and he also had some additional infections that he was fighting. So once again, he's been healed, and he's ready to go back into the wild. You will see, again, that he has a satellite tag on his back. That will come off when he molts. He seals molt about once a month. Mandrake, closest to you, is a harp seal, and buckbeak on the other side is another harp seal. Both these animals are harp seal weanlings, or yearlings. They're about a year old. Harp seals are ice seals. One of the dangers to an ice seal is the reduction in polar ice caused by climate change. And there's been a lot of more harp seals this year in Massachusetts, possibly because of the reduction of the ice fields. Both animals were suffering from a variety of parasitic infections and other infections, as well as some small injuries. They both stranded at different places in New Hampshire, about a few weeks apart. They were rescued by our friends at the Seacoast Science Center. And we do have a representative from Seacoast Science Center here. And now, a couple months later, they're ready to go back in the wild. All of the animals have also been immunized against a disease that's happening in the wild population, a seal bovine distemper virus. So there's a lot going on in nature, there's a lot going on with these animals, and that's one reason why the National Marine Life Center and our rehabilitation science and education programs are so important. So we welcome everybody to visit us online at nmlc.org and learn more about what we do, and thanks again for coming out tonight. And if you have any questions afterwards, talk to anybody in a blue vest, okay?
Look at him, look at him go.
National Marine Life Center seal release today went off without a hitch. We were very excited to see the animals just make a beeline for the water, which is so much fun. And they seem to have such joy in kind of getting back to their habitat and getting away from us, which is fantastic. We don't take it personally. We actually love to see that.
Are you wondering what's behind the explosion of seals, shark sightings, stranded turtles, dolphins, and whales on the Cape? On April 17th, Sandy Macfarlane gave a talk about her book, Swirling Currents, Controversy, Compromise, and Dynamic Coastal Change at the Bourne Historical Society.
All marine mammals were protected in 1972. Some have made a really big comeback and some have not. The seals are one of the ones that have made a really big comeback. And so Cape Cod is one of the places where they are hanging out. They're pupping. One of the gray seals are now producing offspring on the Cape, but the population is enormous, and people don't understand that part of it, just that alone. That the population goes from Newfoundland to Long Island, and they swim. So the seal that's here today may be in Newfoundland in a couple of days. And so to try to get a handle on how many there are or what's going on with them is really difficult because of that swimming that they swim. But for some people, they're adorable, and oh, aren't they great? And looking at them with all of them lined up there, wow, isn't that fantastic? To the fishermen, it's not so much, because you hear sort of blue air all around the fishermen because the seals are getting fish that they want. And then actually the problem is they're getting the fish that they want because that's what we want. So that's one of the problems. But the seals have another problem. And go ahead, Skip. Seals have another problem, that is these guys, because the gray seals are the favored prey of great white sharks. And so here is a predator that is being preyed on. So we're going up the food chain to the apex predator, which is the shark. And the problem here is that everything is happening at the same time of year. When we want to use the beach, when the fishermen want to go fishing, and when the sharks are coming up to eat the seals. So everything is happening in this very short window of time, but it's making it very difficult for the towns to try to deal with this, because now we're talking about public safety as well as everything else going on. So. But they aren't the only ones. Seals aren't the only mammal. Whaling took place around here very early on. The Wampanoags were driving whales ashore, especially pilot whales that are in pods. And because of the curvature of Cape Cod Bay, it was pretty easy to drive them ashore. And the colonists looked at that and found that it was relatively easy to do it too. And the colonists, of course, didn't want the whole whale, they just wanted the blubber, whereas the Wampanoags took the whole whale, everything that they needed. But anyway, whaling was a very big deal around here very early on. But then eventually, as I'm sure everybody knows, it went offshore, and it started going up to Davis Strait near the Arctic, and then started going around the world elsewhere. So the Morgan here on the right-hand side is the last actual whaling ship. It is now berthed at Mystic Seaport. It was rehabbed a couple of years ago and actually did another tour. Thank you. But anyway, it is there, and you can go on board it. But it's a voice. I mean, something to show from the past. Go ahead. But whaling, the attitude towards whaling changed, and the attitude towards whaling changed because we no longer needed what they had to offer. We didn't need the oil anymore, which is the only thing that everybody was getting. It wasn't the blubber. Nobody ate whale meat from our whaling. So there was this shift in attitude about whales, which has not been the same with all of the marine mammals. And that is hunting them now for the best shot instead of counting them for hunting them. But I'm sure, how many people have been on a whale watch? All right. Can I overstate that it is awe-inspiring when you see a multi-ton animal leap out of the water and then come down again? It's just amazing. So the educational benefit of whale watches is just tremendous. But they're not the only things that strand. The pilot whales were not the only thing, and Cape Cod is the distinction of many animals that are stranding on our beaches, primarily from Dennis to Wellfleet in that corner of Cape Cod Bay. So they have the dolphins, and sometimes there can be over 100 dolphins in a year or even in one episode. Pilot whales haven't stranded in a while, but they still do it. In the 1980s there was a big stranding. But also there's sea turtles, and sea turtles are a very interesting animal because they're tropical. They're coming up to feed, they're following the Gulf Stream, they're getting into warm water in the Gulf of Maine, and they're getting into warm water in Cape Cod Bay, and they're cold-blooded animals, so they need warm water in order to survive. So as the temperature drops in the fall, they start to go up to Provincetown and try and get around so they can go south again, and they hit this wall of cold water, and whammo, they come back in the bay. Now there's a big storm. I'm sure everybody knows after a storm it's a wicked, wicked northwest wind that is biting. Then these turtles have no hope, really, and they end up on the beaches. So Cape Cod has the distinction of being one of the top 3 places in the world for marine animal strandings, and that is not counting the turtles. You add the turtles into it, and it is really something of what we've got going here. Go ahead. So why would I put a picture of a target ship in this slide presentation, and what has that got to do with strandings? Well, the target ship was plunked down there after World War II, so that planes from old Otis Air Force Base, now Joint Base Cape Cod, probably flying right over here, would go to the target ship and do their target practice. And for those of us who lived in the elbow of the Cape, it was great fun to watch the planes come by and watch them drop their bombs and see how close they got to the ship and see where the splash was and say, glad it was a practice run. But anyway, the ship was put down on a sandbar in Cape Cod Bay. Next one. But these flats are important too, and they extend about 1.5 miles out from shore. So next one. So here's at least 5 reasons that I've put up as possibilities. It could be any one of them, it could be none of them, it could be a combination of any one of the 5, and it could very easily be something that we haven't even thought of why it's so, why the Cape is so important for this. The obvious one is the hook, the shape of Cape Cod, that it really is providing a hook that they get caught in there. And it's hard to believe that something like pilot whales that have sonar are actually getting caught in Cape Cod Bay in these shallow waters. But if you think about it, just in sort of anthropomorphize these, you got deep water around Provincetown. It gets shallow, you get here, and then it gets really shallow to Billingsgate Shoal. And if you get over that, you get a little bit of deep water, and then you get this tongue of shallow water again, which is where the target ship was, and a little bit of deep water, and then you get these flats. So if you're chasing your prey in there, and with this 10-foot tide, you get to the flats, and the tide starts going out. It goes out pretty fast. There you are, up on the beach. So it's a real problem area.
Here are some wonderful photos taken by area photographers showing the beauty that surrounds us. If you'd like to share your photos with Bourne TV, please contact me at info@bournetv.com or call us at 508-759-6763. Here are some events happening in May and June. On May 6th, the Jonathan Bourne Public Library is having Red Sox Day with an author lunch at noon, and then the Red Sox trophy will be on display from 2 to 4. Also on May 6th, don't forget, it's annual town meeting and special town meeting. Show up at the Bourne High School auditorium and let your voice be heard and your vote count. Bourne Newcomers and Neighbors will hold its annual meeting at the Pecasset Golf Club on May 14th. The meeting is open to the public, but you must RSVP by May 6th. For more information, visit bournenewcomers.org. On May 11th, the Uptuxet Garden Club holds its annual plant sale from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Pecasset Community Building, Barlow's Landing Road in Pecasset. On May 18th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., it's Feet, Fins, and Flippers, a 5K hosted by the National Marine Life Center. The start of the race is at the Railroad Bridge in Buzzards Bay. Also on May 18th, it's Family Fun at the Pirate Festival held at the Uptuxet Museum Complex from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. On May 21st, the Jonathan Bourne Public Library will have an author talk with Jill Sylvester, author of The Land of Blue. It's free and open to the public. Begins at 7 p.m. On May 25th, the Bourne Historical Society holds its Merry Month of May celebration, a free family fun day at Uptuxet from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. with an artisan sale, spring crafts, and activities. On Sunday, May 26th, it's the Wareham Oyster Festival. On June 1st, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., there'll be a fundraiser for the Bourne on the 4th of July parade, which will be held at the Buzzards Bay Park. Tickets are $10. Live music and food from the Mezzaluna restaurant will be featured. Don't forget, it's Bourne High School graduation on June 1st, and it's Upper Cape Tech's graduation on June 2nd. On June 23rd, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., it's the annual Strawberry Festival hosted by the Bourne Historical Society at the Uptuxet Museum Complex. Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Bourne Review, and I'll see you next month.